So I've been running ultra marathons and marathons for over 15 years now. I've completed over 50, 60 events. My fastest marathon at the age of 48 was 3 hours and 23 minutes. The secret is alternating between trail running and road running. And that alternation will allow your body to give itself a little relief from the pounding of the sidewalk or the asphalt. Although I do really hope that when you do go out and run, you avoid sidewalks as much as possible, because that's basically running on cement, and run as much on asphalt or grass so that the impact is reduced. Okay? Now, the part of the training can also be shifting between treadmills. You know, there's great treadmills sometimes in some of these gyms. Switch it up, it's all good. Change the elevation on the treadmill so that, you know, you can actually run uphill a little bit. It's all part of keeping the body guessing and making sure that you are not always running on the same surface, on the same terrain all the time. Then the friction point in your joints will always be the same. You want to keep your legs undulating and guessing. And cognitively, when you're navigating trail, you're more engaged with thought process, like, where do I put my feet? Should I put my feet here? Should I put my feet there? And be able to thoroughly enjoy, you know, not only the aerobic part of the exercise, but also the mental clarity that needs to go with navigating, you know, terrain like this, right? So I would just come out here a little bit and just enjoy being able to go through different types of surfaces, right? Now, part of the great thing about running on trails is you're generally going to be going 2 or 3 minutes slower per minute per mile than if you were running on sidewalk. It's just because you're just running slower. Look at this. So here I'm going downhill, and for a lot of people, going downhill is not an easy experience. So you get familiar with downhill, and then later you gotta go uphill. So you go at a pace where, you know, there's effort, but you're not afraid to walk. You're not afraid to go slow on the downhill. You're kind of sprinkling in these light jogs. So almost like 30% of your overall run is light jog. So, and then the rest is walking, hiking, and descending. Either you're walking on the descent or maybe slow jog. So this releases the intimidation factor that when you put on your running shoes, you think like you're gonna run the entire way. You don't have to do that. You know, that's not mandatory. So it provides you some relief, like I'm permitting myself to walk a little bit, run a little bit, jog a little bit, hike a little bit in these runs. And you do the same for road. So sometimes when I train on road, I purposely train in an area where I think there are some stairs, and I'll use the stairs as a place where I can reduce my impact, take my time, and load up my muscles, especially my quads and my calves, to go up those stairs slowly. Use it kind of like active recovery on the aerobic basis, but gain some of my load for resistance so I can develop some, you know, stronger bones because of the load bearing. It's kind of like sit to stand. Then you can, you know, build that circuit on your own. Remember, you're a new runner, you just got started, you probably haven't even moved up to, say, let's say your goal is to run between, you know, 6 to 10 miles a week, you know. And so that would be, for many people, they go out and say, all right, I'm going to do 3 miles 3 times a week, and that's great. What I prefer that you do is do 1 mile a day, 7 times a day. And when you're only running 1 mile a day, you're running that 1 mile with 30 to 40% of it in a light jog to fast walking. So your body goes through this adaptation period of familiarizing itself with this load on this new activity of running, right? Which is basically falling forward. So be mindful of not pushing yourself too hard. Put yourself in an environment where you can enjoy some of the views and give your body the chance to adapt to the motion of falling forward for about 6 months. Okay? I would really refrain from engaging races in the first 6 months, group runs in the first 4 months. I would just start by training on your own time, on your own momentum, around your own fitness level, and develop the musculoskeletal awareness to be able to run longer incrementally without getting injured. The name of the game is to not get injured. And the best way to get injured is to add too much volume too fast, or to run too fast because you're running in a group, you're with some friends, one of the runners is more fit than you, you were forced in a group run to keep up with that person, and next thing you know, you're injured. So injury takes time to recover, especially if you're a new runner. And as long as it's not acute, you're feeling soreness, it's okay to run through that non-acute pain. It's okay. You want to keep the tendons hydrated so that not too much liquid builds up. Now, needless to say, if you're learning to run, and you haven't run before, and you're on pharmaceutical drugs, or you just haven't run, you haven't exercised, do get doctor's clearance, regardless of your age. I think, unless you're a 15-year-old, but I think any adult, especially with family history, should really get doctor's approval before engaging in running. Running is a moderate, vigorous activity. It's not easy. It's not a walk in the park. Although, after you do this for 6 months, 3 to 6 months, you'll start thinking and believing that your running is much easier than it was. When it becomes a walk in the park, we'll be closer to, for many people, like really feel like they can do a 3-mile run and feel good about it. I think you can achieve that level of response within 4 to 6 months, but people try to get there too quickly and they get injured within a couple months. So muscle tendon injury doesn't really reveal itself until the 4th week. So most of the time people are training, they're like, I feel so good, I can do this. And then on the 4th week, something happens and they're like, oh no, I can't run anymore. So be very mindful that even if you feel good in the first 4 weeks, it doesn't mean you're out of the woods. Give yourself at least 4 to 6 weeks before you enter that realm. So obviously we're jumping around today between sitting down, enjoying some scenery, because why sit around when you can move? So look how beautiful that is. Wow. And then see, now we're going downhill. This is running, and then you can use the momentum and just pick it up a little bit, or run a little further. Tip. The third important thing is obviously wear shoes that are comfortable. When you just start running, and your mileage is low, go to your local running store. Tell them, hey, I'm a beginner runner. I just want a good pair of shoes to graduate from. Use the word graduate, because usually when you first start, you're gonna want a little bit more cushion, you're gonna want more support, and as your body strengthens, you're gonna feel like, hey, I want a lighter shoe, I need a little less support. And that comes with years, not months. So be very these running stores, these run specialty stores, if you're in Southern California, in the Irvine area, Snail's Pace. If you're in LA area, Fleet Feet. If you're in the Laguna area, there's Fleet Feet there too, Fleet Feet in San Diego. So there are these specialty stores that have wonderful people that will really fit you with the correct shoe, with the correct width, and oftentimes the correct sock, because the socks today, I'm telling you, they are technically superior than just cotton socks. They help you avoid blisters, and they're compression socks too that work really well to help you kind of improve your blood flow while you're running. So those are really critical things for new runners, right? So changing surfaces, one thing's really important for a new runner, not running with someone out of the gate, because usually when you're running with someone, you're like, hey, can you teach? Unless they're a coach, they're running faster than you. And I would submit that in the very beginning stages of learning to run, take your own time, because you don't need a coach yet, okay? You just need to be familiar with the motion of running, light running like this, and just running a little bit. This is exactly actually what I want, running a little bit. Okay, walk. I got the stimulus. That wasn't easy. And then I would do, and I did this when I started, was I would use little markers, like I'm gonna run from here to there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I get here and I stop. You see how I'm doing markers? I give myself these mini goals so that I can keep myself moving, but not so tired that I'm telling my brain, this is so hard that I don't want to do this again. Does that make sense? And this is the same trick I use in mountain running and ultra multi-day running events. Is when you get really fatigued, you say, okay, I'm going to start running there. And then I'm going to run from here to that trail stick right there. So let's follow this guideline, and then we stop, right? Isn't that wonderful? So these things you can do in the trails, and the wonderful thing about doing the trails is there's no cars. There's no cars here, right? So you don't have to worry about people hitting you, etc., etc. So wonderful way to get started. So let's practice this again, okay? So there's that little bar over there. When we cross this, we're gonna run to the little sign. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we got here and we're gonna walk. See how I do this? This is the fundamental to running. And if you're on a track, if you're like, I'm gonna start on a track, perfect. In the track, it's 400 meters or 200 meters. Use those guidelines to say, okay, I'm gonna get here and I'm gonna walk half a circle, a fourth of the circle, and I'm gonna run again. When I first started running 15, 16 years ago, I used to count the lights around the track. So when I would see that light, I was like, 2 more lights and I'll stop. So giving yourself those mental cues are so important to be able to establish good running hygiene for you. The key is don't run too much all the time in the beginning of your running journey. You will get injured. Take it easy. Don't run with friends yet. let yourself get stronger before you engage in group activities so you have the dexterity to run with other people. Number 3, make sure you get fitted with beginner shoes at a local run shop or a run specialty store so they can give you some guidelines. And then number 4, when you're running, use guidelines. Again, I'm gonna run from here, this little bar, up there. So this is an uphill one. I'm gonna run using these short guidelines and stop. Notice that's like 4 or 5 seconds. And then I stop and then I walk, right? As you get more familiar with this exercise, you're gonna notice that in your 10 minute of run, or 20 minute of run, or 30 minute, you're probably running a third of the time and walking, speed walking, hiking the other 70% of the time, which is totally fine. You're just getting the body used to this forward motion, right? The act of falling forward and catching yourself. Does that make sense? Great, I'm glad I was able to give you the fundamentals of learning to run. All this applies to trail running and or track running or road running. Change up the surface whenever possible and find wonderful places to visit. Thanks, guys.